The surface environment is safe for transport, Willie.
OMG, OMG, OMG. All the original stock footage used to create Star Trek The Next Generation's transporter effect is online. Oh, you knew about it. It was included as a DVD extra. Twice. Okay, let me explain. I was a teenager for most of TNG's run and bought a lot of the VHS tapes. So when the DVDs were released, I didn't get them. Then the remasters came along and the Blu-rays were initially really expensive, and by the time they got cheaper, streaming services had started and I could watch TNG without spending extra money. So I didn't. And it turns out I missed out on some really cool content. Like this roundtable discussion with Dan Curry, Robert Legato, Ron Moore and TOS VFX supervisor Howard Anderson. In that they play the original stock footage. And then YouTuber Faldor sees my TNG Phasers tutorial and tells me about another DVD extra. So if I was making a TNG transporter effect back in SD times, this would have been good enough. But hey, we're minimum HD now and YouTube's compression has not been kind. So the challenge was, can I recreate the 4 elements in After Effects? Well, hopefully you've seen the answer. So let's get started. Initially, I tried recreating the dropping sparkles using CC Particle World and a texture of a single particle. Yes, I probably could use Particular, but I'm sticking with just AE for this experiment. CC Particle World gave me the random distribution, but I really struggled to control the timing, so I abandoned that approach. Instead, let's start with the pen tool and draw a line across the center of the comp window. This creates a new shape layer with a line ready to use. Hit enter and rename this to dropping particles. And then expand the shape on the timeline until you can see all the elements of shape 1. Delete fill. Then expand stroke and set the stroke width to 20. Then click on the plus icon next to dashes. This activates dashes for the stroke, breaking up the line. Click the plus again to add a gap property. Set the line cap to projecting cap and the line join to bevel join. This is going to help give us some harsher edges than if we went with round dots. Drop the dash to 0 and set the gap to 40. Then expand wave and set the amount to 66% and set the phase to 75%. This gives us some different sized chunks. It's not like the sparkles are all lined up. So now click on the tiny Add menu and choose Wiggle Paths. Set the size to 330 and the detail to 40. And set the points to smooth. And drop the wiggles per second to 0. But make sure to set random seed to 100. If we leave it alone, in a moment we're going to duplicate this layer and the random seed will throw off the shape, creating a different distortion. And to help sell that this is not just a single line, go back to Add and this time choose Pucker and Bloat. And maybe drop the amount if 10 seems too noisy. This gives us particles overlapping and clustered. With the layer selected, hold Ctrl and tap D to duplicate it. On the bottom layer, rename this to Trails and expand its shape. Click on the Add menu again and this time choose Repeater. Set the number to 50, then expand Transform Repeater 1 and change the position properties to 0, -10 and drop the end opacity to 0%. So this is going to give us light trails, but they aren't exactly smooth. If you saw my Aurora tutorial, we'll know that instead of increasing the number of copies, we can use directional blur to smooth out the edges and save a bit of memory. So go to Effect, Blur and Sharpen, Directional Blur, and set the blur length to about 15. And the trails are a bit too white and a bit too full on. So go to Effect, Color Correction, Tint, and set Matte White to 9DE7FF. And back in Repeater 1, set the start opacity to about 35%. There, now we're making some progress. Make sure the trails layers are parented child of the dropping particles layer, and both layers' transfer modes are set to add. With dropping particles selected, go to Effect, Stylize, Glow, and set the glow intensity to 2, and change the glow colours to A and B colours, and set colour A to B7E DFF, and colour B to 0E6790. The blocks are still a bit too defined, so go to Effect, Blur and Sharpen, CC Vector Blur, and set the amount to 10. And now select the glow layer and hold Ctrl and D to duplicate it, and drag Glow 2 below CC Vector Blur, and set the glow radius to a whopping 250 and the glow intensity to 10. And now we're ready to animate it. Here's a masked video of Riker beaming out, and I'm sort of taking the height of the comp to be the height of the effect. So if my actor is further away, I'd use this comp as a precomp and scale it down, and if they're closer, I'd make it larger. And it's in my comp as a guide layer. So the first batch of particles appears here. I'll just tap P to expose the position property, and then scrub the Y value to move the particles out of shot. Then they fall out of shot just 15 frames later. Just the particles though, the trails sort of blend into the shower curtain. So having moved my particles off screen, I'll now hold Alt and click on the stopwatch and type loop out, brackets, quotes, continue, close quote, close brackets. Note out's capital O. Now select both layers and duplicate them, and move them back in the timeline to line up with the second wave. Expand dropping particles 2 all the way to wiggle path, and set the random seed to something different. Expand trails 2 and set the random seed to the same value. But the trails don't seem as visible on the second wave, so expand repeater and drop the copies to 25. Duplicate these layers and update the random seeds again. And move them back in the timeline to line up with the third wave. Alright! Next, we need the shower curtain. And looking at the footage, it looks to me like Fractal Noise. So create a new solid by going to Layer, New, Solid. And call this layer Shower Curtain. Then go to Effect, Noise and Grain, Fractal Noise. Set the type to Strings, and up the contrast to 180. Then expand Transform and uncheck Uniform Scaling, and set the width to 10 and the height to 600. And set a keyframe for Offset Turbulence, and move 2 seconds in the timeline and set its Y value to 5000. It'll be faded off by then, but see how it gives us this falling motion. Drop the complexity to 3. And hold Alt and click on the Evolution stopwatch. And in the Expressions area type time times 100. So we get a little change. Next, go to Effect, Color Correction, Tritone. and set the highlights to C2D 5EB and the midtones to C17B90. And despite dropping the complexity, I think it's still a little too sharp. So go to Effect, Blur and Sharpen, Fastbox Blur, and set the radius to 2. Finally for this layer, drag it below the dropping particles, and then go to Effect, Transition, Linear Wipe. Set the angle to 0, and set the transition complete to 100%. Set the feather to 150. Then move down in the timeline, either by pressing the page down key on your keyboard, or use the dial on your Stream Deck if set up for After Effects. Which I have, thanks to people buying me coffees and sending me super thanks. Thank you! I did a review on the Stream Deck a while back, you can check that out here. Anyway, move ahead in the timeline until the particles appear, and set a keyframe for transition complete. Then move ahead again until the first wave of particles is at the bottom of the screen, and set a new value for 0%. Now a few frames after the third wave of particles has passed, the shower curtain fades out. So scrub ahead again until that moment, then hit T to expose the opacity property for the layer. Then scrub ahead again about 10 frames and set the opacity to 0. And that's the first element completed. The next step is to recreate the sparkle pass. I believe this was originally done with glitter and water in a glass container and swirled around. And I was tempted to go down that route, but CC Particle World does swirling particles pretty well. Create a new solid and call it Swirly Particles. And set its endpoint to 5 or 6 frames after the linear wipe was completed. If you're not sure how to see that, select the shower curtain layer and tap U on the keyboard to show all the keyframes you've set. Back on the Swirly Particles layer, go to Effect, Simulation, CC Particle World. Set the birth rate to 100, expand Producer and set Radius X to 0.4, the Radius Y to 0.7, and double the Radius Z, so it's 0.05. Expand Physics and set the animation to twirly, and the velocity to 0.1, set the gravity to 0. And when twirly is selected, the extra angle determines the rotation speed, so set it to about 75 degrees. Expand Particle and set the type to Faded Sphere. The birth and death sizes to 0.1 and set the birth colour to almost white, F3, F5, FF, and the death colour to 616488, and set the transfer mode in the effect to add. As you can see, it's got that glitter and water look, but if you look really closely at the TNG effect, the particles are moving vertically, not horizontally. So expand Extras, then expand Effect Camera, and set the rotation Z to 90 degrees. And that feels even more chaotic than before. There's a background to this stage though, so create a new solid and call it Noise. Add a Fractal Noise effect to this layer, and set the contrast to 160. Set a keyframe for the evolution, then at about the 4-second mark in the comp, set a new keyframe to about 100 degrees. The clips shared show that this noise is pretty basic, which makes sense as I think it was computer generated back in 1987. To tint the noise, copy the tritone effect from the shower curtain layer, and paste it onto the noise layer. Drag the noise layer beneath the swirly particles layer and set the swirly particles transfer mode to classic color dodge, which creates this cool look where the particles don't appear in the dark areas, just like on the original. I've got both the second stage layers beneath the first stage ones, and for the noise layer, I'm going to set an opacity keyframe at 0% at its in point, and about 12 or 13 frames later, I'll fade it up fully. This is all using the timings of the TNG clip. Following the timings again, at about 2 seconds and 18 frames, I'm going to set another keyframe. Then at 3 seconds and 14 frames, I'll fade out the layer. And thanks to the classic color dodge transfer mode, the particles have already faded out. Select both layers at this point and holding the Alt key, tap the left square bracket key to set their endpoints. Alright! Now it's time for the Power Pellet. Create a new white solid and name it Power Pellet. Set it to begin at the 2 seconds and 7 frame mark. Then go to Effect, Simulation, CC Opal Fruit. Sorry, CC Starburst. Set the size to 50 and set the speed to 0. Then add a glow effect. And set the intensity to 10 and set the glow colors to AB colors and set the color A to CDD 3FF and set color B to 003 CFF. With the effect selected, duplicate it and change the radius to 100. Now go to Effect, Channel, Solid Composite and set the color to black. This fills in the background and in this case helps with the glow effect. Now we want some movement or twinkling, so add another Fractal Noise effect. Set the type to Turbulent Smooth and the contrast to 340. Set the brightness to -50. Hold Alt and click on the Evolution stopwatch and type time times 200. Then set the effect's blending mode to multiply. Now the pellet is limited in size, so with no layer selected, switch to the ellipse tool and double click it, and rename the new shape layer to Power Pellet Matte, and expand it on the timeline. Delete the stroke, and in Path uncheck the size link icon, and set the X value to 150 and the Y to 225. And because it's a shape layer, we have a hard edge, so add a fastbox blur set to 25 to soften that, and use the Power Pellet layer's track matte controls to select this layer as its matte. I've done all this to make the comp reusable, but the Power Pellet needs to be in a specific place and we need flexibility of size too. So, create a new null object by going to Layer, New, Null Object, and call it Controller. Then go to Effect, Expression Controls, Checkbox Control. With the effect selected, hit enter and rename this to Shower Curtain. Then duplicate the checkbox and rename it to Sparkles. Then go back to Expression Controls and choose Point Control. And name this to Center of Effect and set the value to 960 by 540. Duplicate this effect and rename it to Offset Power Pellet. Then go back to Expression Controls and choose Slider Control. Call it Width and set it to 150. Duplicate it and call it Height and set it to 225. We're going to link all these controls to Essential Graphics, which will allow us to make minor changes. Select the first dropping particles and tap T. Use the pick whip to link to the Shower Curtain checkbox, and at the end of the expression add times 100. Checkbox controls return either a 0 or a 1. Multiplying it by 100 gives us our 100% opacity. Select the opacity property and holding Ctrl tap C to copy it. Then select all the dropping particle shape layers and hold Ctrl and tap V to paste the same setting into each. For the shower curtain layer, it's a little more complicated, but not much more. Open its expressions area and type if brackets and pick whip the shower curtain checkbox. equals equals 1, close brackets, open curly brackets, value, close curlies, else, open curlies, 0, close curlies. So if the checkbox is on, then use the keyframes, but if the checkbox is off, set it to not show. Copy this expression and paste it into the noise layer, but change the checkbox over to sparkles. And then follow the same step for the particles as you did for the dropping particles, but using the sparkles checkbox. And copy this for the Power Pellet layer too. For the matte layer, expand the shape on the timeline, open the size expression area and type var start width equals and pick whip the controller's width slider, semicolon new line, var start height equals and pick whip the height in the controller, semicolon. Then on a new line type var starting size equals square brackets start width comma start height close brackets. So we're making the values in a form the property can read. Then on a new line, ease brackets time comma this layer with a capital L dot in point with a capital P comma this layer dot out point comma starting size comma square brackets 0 comma 0 close square brackets close brackets. So we're going to use the layer's duration to ease the size down to 0. And we've linked the size of the ellipse to our sliders, so we can change them if needed. At the 6-second mark, trim the layer, holding Alt and tapping left square bracket. With the matte layer still selected, tap P to view the position property, and use the pick whip to link to the control's center of effect point control. Then select the Power Pellet layer, tap P, and link this to the offset. This will allow us to reposition the layer so we see the best stars. One last step for the setup. Studying the Riker beam out, I determined that at 1 second and 1 frame, he starts to fade. So with no layer selected, tap the star or asterisk key on the number pad. This adds a comp marker. Right-click on this marker and choose Settings and add a comment like Fade Out Starts and click OK. Then scrub to 3 seconds and 22 frames and add another marker, calling this one Fade Out Ends. These labels will be visible when added to another comp. And I also went to trekcore.com to grab a TNG sound effect. To make reusable, go to Composition, open in Essential Graphics. Expand Controller on the timeline, and then drag in each of the properties, like this. With the sliders, you might need to edit the ranges so that they don't reset to 100 as maximum. But we're done with the setup! Here's a beam out short courtesy of Jeff Smith from Bulldog TV. Check out his channel, especially the Ronnie Redshirt comedy series. I've already set this up to edit out the moment the actress leaves the shot, and I'm going to drag in my transporter comp. And I'll set the transfer mode to screen. And she's a bit bigger in the shot than Riker, so I'll scale it up a bit. Then when I'm happy, I'll use the rectangle mask tool and draw a column, just a little short of the top, and then expand the mask and feather it to about 50. I'll then duplicate the comp, and in Essential Graphics, switch over to show the sparkles instead of the shower curtain. I'll also mute the audio and delete the mask. But then I'll use the pen tool and draw a mask around our actress. And hit the M key twice to see the new mask feather, and feather that to about 52. One last thing, I'll line up the current time indicator on the first marker, holding shift will snap me to it, and on the actress layer I'll set a keyframe on the opacity, and fade her out in line with the second marker. Then right at the end of the transport, I'll just adjust the position of the power pellet and tweak the offset so we get some nice bright sparkles. And there we go! So that's TNG's phasers, photon torpedoes, and now transporters. I wonder what's next? Maybe a recreation of the Briar Patch with a motion-controlled physical model?